Today's lesson is the inspiring story of baseball in Taiwan. Hi, everybody. I'm Roger.
And I'm Mike.
And today we're going to continue talking about baseball in Taiwan. And, of course, it's very inspiring for people here in Taiwan because the Little League team always seems to win the championship. I think it's held somewhere in Pennsylvania every year. And, of course, the Little League team from Taiwan, or at least teams from Taiwan, have always done well, and they won the tournament earlier this year.
Absolutely, showing that there is still a lot of talent out there in Taiwan, especially at the youth, the junior level. But we've seen, of course, much of that talent rise up to be professional baseball players, both here in the CPBL and also going overseas. I know there's a number of Taiwanese players who play in countries like Japan, Korea, and a lot of the most famous ones end up playing in the MLB leagues in America. So Taiwan has got quite a reputation, I think, now around the world, especially for people who know about baseball, for people who follow the sport globally. I think Taiwanese players are very well respected. So we're going to be reading about some of them today. We'll also be reading about one of the newest additions to the baseball landscape here in Taiwan, and it's a very noticeable addition, the giant Taipei Dome, which was opened just a couple of years ago and is now regularly hosting baseball games. I haven't been there for a baseball game. I went there for a concert. It's an impressive building, and it seems like a very good home for Taiwanese baseball for now and well into the future. So let's find all about the healthy state of Taiwanese baseball in the year 2025-2026 as we get into our article.
In the following years, the CPBL worked hard to win back the public's trust. Through strict anti-corruption rules and better management, the league slowly began to recover. Strong performances by the national team in the 2001 Baseball World Cup and the 2013 World Baseball Classic, WBC, also helped bring back public enthusiasm. In addition, players like Qian Mingwang and Hong Chi-guo showcased Taiwanese talent on the world stage with their achievements in Major League Baseball.
大家好，第一部分介绍动词 showcase 表示展示优点，例如 The travel documentary showcases the island's natural beauty. 那部旅游纪录片展现该岛的自然之美，或者 Perry is looking forward to the opportunity to showcase his cooking skills at the event. Perry 很期待有机会在活动中展现他的厨艺。
Okay, welcome back. Now, remember last time we were talking about the foundation of the CPBL way back in 1990. So in the following years, the CPBL worked hard to win back the public's trust. So we were talking about the scandal that was going on or that took place in the league back in the 90s and the 2000s, in which there were gamblers and there were scandals and there were games being thrown and things like that. So, of course, attendance went down, and if you have low attendance, you're not going to make a lot of money. So the CPBL worked hard to win back the trust of the public. They tried to get rid of all those gamblers and get people to believe that the games are real, the players are really competing, they're not just trying to lose the games on purpose, and gradually attendance returned.
That's true. Through strict anti-corruption rules and better management, the league slowly began to recover. So, yeah, they brought in, I think, new laws to make gambling on baseball, especially if you're involved in the games, if you're a player, a team representative, a manager. So they made the punishments for those crimes more severe. I believe they also raised the salaries of some of the players because often these players weren't making very much. And, of course, getting an offer of a fat red envelope from a local gambler or a local gangster was very attractive to those types of folks who were, not earning a whole lot for all their hard work. So they raised salaries, they brought in new laws, new regulations, better management, better oversight. So this is always a problem in sports, and it's something that the authorities have to really keep an eye on. But if you can keep it under control or eliminate it, you can definitely keep the passion of the fans and the trust of the fans. And that's what the CPBL worked really, really hard to do. So it slowly began to recover. It took a number of years, but I haven't heard anyone complain about it or seen any stories about it in the last several years, at least. So that is a good sign of of healthy, fair baseball going on. And then it says, strong performance by the national team at the 2001 Baseball World Cup and the 2013 World Baseball Classic, WBC, also helped bring back public enthusiasm. So it wasn't just the CPBL that people were getting a lot of entertainment and pleasure from. They were also being wildly entertained and very satisfied by the performances of the national team, both in the 2001 Baseball World Cup, where they did very well, and not many years later at the 2013 WBC World Baseball Classic. And that helped to bring back public enthusiasm. Enthusiasm is passion, interest, when you're excited about something, when you like something, when something is important to you, when it's kind of part of who you are. If you're a fan of something, you probably have an enthusiasm for that thing that you are a fan of.
Right, you're enthusiastic about that thing. And in addition, players like Chen-Ming Wang and Hong Chi-kuo showcased Taiwanese talent on the world stage with their achievements in Major League Baseball. So, of course, we all know Wang Jianming, or Chen-Ming Wang. He was a pitcher for the Yankees. He was on the front page of newspapers back then quite often during that summer season. And then, of course, there was this other guy, Guo Hongzhi, who played for the Dodgers, I believe. So, of course, these guys did quite well in the major leagues. So they showcased Taiwanese talent. To showcase just means to demonstrate, to let everybody see how good you are. Well, let's move on now to the next part of our lesson and talk about the Taipei Dome. We'll talk about it right now after we listen to the second part.
In 2023, Taipei Dome officially opened, providing a state-of-the-art stadium appropriate for international games. The next year, Taiwan's baseball fever reached a new peak when the national team won the WBSC Premier 12 championship. The victory led to a national celebration and stood as a testament to the hard work of generations of players and coaches. Looking ahead to 2026, Taiwan is set to return to the WBC with renewed confidence and a stronger foundation to compete once again among the world's best.
第二部分看到名词 dome， 意思是穹顶体育场，也可以是穹顶、圆屋顶。例如 The stadium's dome can be closed during bad weather. 体育场的穹顶在天气不好时可以关闭。再看一个句子 We visited a church with a beautifully painted dome ceiling. 我们参观了一座有着美丽彩绘穹顶的教堂。接下来介绍形容词 state of the art， 指最先进的。例如 My gym has state-of-the-art equipment, which makes it a bit more expensive than other gyms. 我的健身房有最先进的器材，所以价格比其他健身房来得贵一些。或者 The engineer is helping to design a state-of-the-art skyscraper. 工程师正在协助设计最先进的摩天大楼。继续看到形容词 appropriate， 表示适当的、合适的或是恰当的。例如 It's important to wear appropriate clothes to a job interview to make a good impression. 穿着适当的服装去面试，以留下好印象是很重要的。接下来介绍 championship， 这个名词意思是冠军头衔或是冠军赛。举个例子 The team won the championship for the second year in a row. 这支球队连续第二年夺冠。再看一个例句 Our team is training hard for the National Basketball Championship. 我们的球队正为全国篮球冠军赛努力训练。下一个来看 testament 这个名词，它的意思是证明或是验证。例如 The success of the project stands as a testament to the team's hard work and collaboration. 这个专案的成功是团队努力与合作的证明。再看一个例子 The towering skyscraper stands as a testament to modern engineering. 这座高耸的摩天大楼是现代工程的证明。最后看到单字 generation， 这个名词意思是世代或是同代人。例如 Social media has affected the younger generation in many ways. 社群媒体在很多方面影响了年轻的一代。最后一个例句 Younger generations are typically more familiar with newer technologies than their parents and grandparents. 年轻世代通常比其父母和祖父母更熟悉较新的科技。
Okay, so here in the second part, we're talking about the construction and the completion of the Taipei Dome. So in 2023, the Taipei Dome officially opened, providing a state-of-the-art stadium appropriate for international games. Okay, so this is the Taipei Dome, and it officially opened in 2023, just a couple of years ago. So it provided a state-of-the-art stadium, okay? So something state-of-the-art, it's the latest, it's the most modern, and of course it's not old and behind the times. It's got all the nice facilities, and you can go there and enjoy a game. It's the most modern stadium that you can imagine.
Absolutely. It's a very modern facility, and it is totally appropriate for international games. When something is appropriate for something, that thing fits. That thing is suitable. That is the right thing to have in the right situation. We often use this when maybe talking about your clothing. That's not appropriate clothing. Why are you wearing torn blue jeans and a dirty t-shirt to your brother's wedding? That's not appropriate. It's more appropriate to wear a nice suit or maybe a tuxedo. And in the same way, a nice suit or a tuxedo wouldn't really be appropriate if you're going to the beach for your first surfing lesson. It doesn't really fit the situation. So this big stadium, it's big, it's modern, it's new, it's shiny, and it's great, and it is appropriate for international games when Taiwan is showing off the best of its baseball talent in competition with the best players from Korea and Japan and Mexico and Venezuela and the U.S. and all around the world. This is where you should have it, not in some old broken down concrete bowl where the toilets smell and it's obviously very, very past its best times. No, the Taipei Dome is in its best times, and it will be very, very good for many, many years. We call it a dome because it has a roof. That's why we call it a dome. A dome is a round roof. So basically you take a ball shape, you cut it in half, and that's kind of a dome shape that you would put on top of originally churches and things like that. I think the Pantheon in Rome was one of the oldest domed buildings, but if you go to St. Peter's Basilica or St. Paul's Cathedral in London, St. Peter's in Rome, they have domed roofs as well. It is actually a stadium. We would generally call it a stadium because it is larger than an arena. Arenas are usually smaller, always enclosed, and arenas are where we would find ice hockey, basketball, indoor tennis, things like that being played. A stadium would be bigger, and many stadiums, or stadia, if you want to be very strict about it. In Europe, for example, in soccer, they have no roof, right? They have grass fields, so you wouldn't necessarily have a dome. But here in Taiwan, because it is hot, because it does rain, and because baseball is often played on artificial grass or artificial turf, plastic grass, you can cover it and it's more comfortable for the fans because it's nice and air conditioned. So that stadium has a dome, but of course that's the name. So the next year in 2024, Taiwan's baseball fever reached a new peak when the national team won the WBSC Premier 12 Championship. That's a long title, the WBSC Premier 12. Okay, this is a championship, another one. They have many in baseball. Baseball around the world isn't quite as well organized as soccer is, with sort of one big playoff championship. But a championship is when you get the best teams or the best players and they all compete against each other. Usually they will have earlier rounds, often lasting over several years, where the weaker teams might get a chance to make it to the championship, but generally they would lose. And so when you watch the World Cup finals, that's kind of a global soccer championship. When you watch the Olympics, if for any individual sport, that's kind of a championship as well, because after several rounds, these are the best 32, 16, 8, 4, 2 players or teams in the world. Let's see who wins the gold medal. And in that time, back there in 2024, Taiwan absolutely did, and it was quite a moment.
Indeed. So that's a championship, of course, and after all these teams play each other in whichever format, we have a champion at the end of the tournament, and Taiwan was a championship then. And the victory led to a national celebration and stood as a testament to the hard work of generations of players and coaches. So here we've got the word testament, which is kind of like a document that proves something. So it basically stands as a testament. It just shows the world, it gives proof that everybody here has done some hard work of playing games and winning tournaments, and we're talking about generations of players and coaches dating back to 1968 and maybe even earlier than that. We've got generations of players, different age groups of people coming and going throughout the years, and indeed we've got all those players and all those coaches, and of course we could probably all name players from different eras and things like that. They're all significant in the evolution of baseball here in Taiwan. Now, looking ahead to 2026, which is just around the corner, Taiwan is set to return to the WBC with renewed confidence and a stronger foundation to compete once again among the world's best. Okay, so this is looking ahead. We often use this phrase when we're talking about something that's going to happen in the future, and it also means that we're kind of coming to the end of the article. So looking ahead, this is what's going to happen in the future. Taiwan is prepared, or it is set to return to the WBC with renewed confidence. So if something's renewed, it's new again. So they had confidence before. Maybe they lost the confidence for a while, but now they've got confidence again because they won that big tournament last year. So they're all ready to go and beat Japan and the United States and Venezuela and Cuba again.
Absolutely. They have a strong foundation. The foundation is basically what you build on top of when you're seeing a large building being built and they're digging down into the ground and creating those massive concrete pillars and stuff, or just laying down a concrete base. That's a foundation. So when we talk about a foundation outside of an engineering or architecture type of realm, we're just basically talking about the basics. When you go into English, you have to learn vocabulary and grammar. Those are the foundations of understanding and being able to speak English. If you're doing any type of art form, you have to learn the basic rules. You have to learn how to paint right or well before you can break all the rules and paint like Picasso and kind of do whatever you want. You need that foundation. You know, that basic knowledge, that basic learning. So having a good foundation, having a good youth program to identify and nurture young talent, and then also having professional baseball here in Taiwan where players can make a living doing it and hopefully maybe even get signed to big contracts outside of the country, then they can come back and they can share their knowledge with local players. That's the type of thing we're talking about, and Taiwan has clearly shown that when it works, it really works. Okay, a very short final paragraph to come.
Taiwanese baseball has had its highs and lows. However, its story is one of passion, perseverance, and pride. As the sport continues to grow, it inspires new generations to carry the dream forward, both on and off the field.
Okay, here's the very short and final paragraph. It says, Taiwanese baseball has had its highs and lows. So yes, indeed, it's had its highlights with winning tournaments and its lows with the league having the scandals and things like that. However, its story is one of passion, perseverance, and pride. So, of course, the story of baseball is quite long. It has a lot of passion. People love the sport. They have a lot of passion for it. And there's been lots of perseverance. They just keep going. Even if there's any kind of setback, they still manage to come back and win again so they can persevere. They can continue on into the future. And, of course, it's a story of pride. People, of course, here are very proud of the baseball teams that come from Taiwan and perform well on the world stage. And as the sport continues to grow, it inspires new generations to carry the dream forward, both on and off the field. So if you carry something forward, you just maintain the tradition. So let's carry our lesson forward to the final part. Let's listen to Hanny, and we'll be right back with a discussion starter.
各位同学大家好，我是 Hanny。 我们来看今天的文法重点。课文一开始提到，在接下来的几年里，中华职棒努力重建大众的信任，透过严格的反贪腐规定与更完善的管理，联盟慢慢开始恢复元气。文中用到 anti-corruption 来形容反贪腐的，那么这个字首 anti 或是念作 anti， 它表示反对、抵制。corruption 是指贪污、腐败。那我们这边就来介绍一下 corruption 它的字根。rupt 这个字根啊，它表示破裂、 断裂或是打破。有这个字根的字大多带有突然被介入或是打破原本规律的含义。那在 corruption 这个字当中，它的字首 COR 来自 COM， 有强调的作用。字根 RUPT 表示破裂， ION 是名词字尾。我们可以用所有的事物全都崩坏分离去联想 corruption， 它有贪污、腐败或是腐化堕落的意思。我们也顺便补充2个有相同字根的单字，第一个是 abrupt ABRUPT， 它的字首 AB 有分离的意思，RUPT 表示打断。那当某个东西突然断裂了，突然分离了，是不是会让人有很突然很意外的感受呢？也许可以用这样的方式去联想 abrupt 是形容意外的、突然的或是唐突的。第2个补充 erupt， 它的字首 E 表示向外，Rupt 表示破裂。好，爆炸的时候就会有东西破裂，会有很多的碎屑向外喷发，这样应该可以联想到 erupt， 它有喷发、爆发的意思。好，课文第2部分提到台北大巨蛋的正式启用，提供了一座适合国际比赛的先进场馆。文中用 state of the art 来形容最先进的。这个片语 state of the art中间没有连字号，那这个片语原本是指某项科技的目前进步水准，用来表达最新发展、最高层次。中间加上了连字号就变成形容词 state of the art， 就可以形容最先进的、使用最先进技术的。那常常会用来描述设备啊、科技、科学等等。这边也顺便补充几个可以表达先进、表达前卫的用语。第一个是 cutting edge。好，那么 cutting edge 它原本是指锐利的刀锋或是刀刃部位，后来用来比喻走在最前线、最先进的事物。我们就可以用 at the cutting edge of 或是 on the cutting edge of 去表达在居于领先地位。那现在在 cutting 和 edge 之间加上连字号，就会变形容词 cutting edge， 可以形容尖端的、最先进的、领先优势的。第2个补充的是 avant-garde， 它原本是法语词，用在军事上面呢，就是指前线、前锋部队。现在常常用这个词来当名词表达前卫派，尤其是在艺术文化层面。那如果把它当形容词来用，就表示前卫的，像你可以用 avant-garde art 去表达前卫艺术。第3个补充 at the vanguard， vanguard 是前锋部队， at the vanguard 字面上的意思是在前锋部队中，那就可以用来形容在某个行动或领域当中它是居于领先地位。好，那以上是今天重点整理，我们回顾今天单字吧。
Enthusiasm. The children showed great enthusiasm during their visit to the Science Museum. Dome.The city built a new dome to host concerts, baseball games, and major events. Appropriate. To better explain the idea, the teacher chose an appropriate example for the lesson. Championship. The team received gold medals and a generous cash prize for winning the championship. Generation. Each generation faces unique challenges while shaping the culture and values of society. Renew.Sid took a short vacation that helped renew his energy and focus. Foundation. For most people, education provides an important foundation for future success.
Discussion Starter starts now!
It's time now for our discussion starter. The question is, do you enjoy watching Taiwanese baseball? Why or why not?
I would say yes, I'm a big fan because, of course, baseball is something that a lot of people here love. So even if I'm not always following the team, I enjoy the fans' passion. I particularly enjoyed the Premier 12 tournament because on the local TV, they also had English commentary, which was really useful for me. And I noticed that the commentators were very knowledgeable about a lot of the baseball players and their history and their skills. So I learned a lot from watching that, which was very, very cool. The other interesting thing was that many of the commentators referred to the team as the team from Taiwan, not the team from Chinese Taipei, which I know a lot of my friends and others appreciated.
Okay, well, I would have to say no. I don't enjoy watching Taiwanese baseball. I actually do on TV, but I have to say no here because we have to give you an example of a no answer. So, no, I don't enjoy watching Taiwanese baseball because, honestly, I've never actually seen a game live. I've only seen them on TV, and, of course, I like to channel surf when I watch TV, so I kind of flip from station to station. So I've never really learned to appreciate baseball here in Taiwan. I really should go to a game, and then I'll change my mind. Well, that brings us to the end of another edition of our program, and please make sure you join us again next time. From all of us here, I am Roger.
I am Mike.
See you next time.